Hi guys, today we'll learn about your heart failure and it's one of the favorite topics of PNLE and even your NCLEX. When you say heart failure, it's because the heart has already failed to do its job and its job is no other than to pump sufficient blood to the vital organs. So if the heart is unable to do that, hindi niya na kayang mag-circulate ng maayos na blood supply ng oxygen and ng nutrients, that's your heart failure. One of the causes of your heart failure, guys, you have your myocardial infarction. So kapag nagsustain ka ng MI, some parts of the myocardium, which is the muscular layer of the heart, gets fibrotic or naging scar tissue na lang because of the absence of oxygenation because of a clot in the blood vessel. When you have scar tissues in the myocardium, that will decrease the contractility of your myocardium. And pag bumaba ang contractility ng myocardium mo, bababa ang ability of the heart to be able to pump sufficient blood. In short, bababa ang kanyang cardiac output. O another one, kapag ikaw meron kang chronic, long-standing hypertension, unmanaged, hindi ka pa nagtatake ng maintenance mo, anong pwedeng gawin yan sa puso mo that can cause heart failure? In chronic hypertension, the blood vessels of the body is severely vasoconstricted. Kaya nga mataas ang blood pressure mo because of a vasoconstricted blood vessel. The heart is pumping up against an increased resistance from vasoconstricted blood vessels. Over the years of your chronic hypertension or your chronic vasoconstricted blood vessels, ang nangyayari, tataas ang workload ng heart, and the increase in the workload of the heart will eventually lead to tissue death in the heart. And once tissue death happens, remember, it's irreversible. The heart will again lose its contractility and result in decrease in cardiac output. Those are just examples of ways in which heart failure can happen to an individual. Now, to understand the pathophysiology talaga of your heart failure, guys, you have to know what really is the problem. O, based on the situation presented, what's the problem? Ayun low cardiac output. The problem is indeed you have very low cardiac output. And how did we define heart failure? Isn't it the failure of the heart to provide sufficient blood in order to perfuse the vital organs para magkaroon sila ng maayos na oxygenation and nutrient supply and ng blood supply, correct? Yes. And the heart is unable to do that because of the mechanisms of MI and chronic hypertension that I have just discussed. Now, in the presence of low cardiac output, the body triggers its compensatory mechanism. Now, you have to listen kasi importante to. This is the only way for you to understand how heart failure operates. The presence of the compensatory mechanism of the body, they only have one goal, and that's to top the board exam. Charot. And that goal is to try and bump up, try and increase the cardiac output kasi yun yung problem sa heart failure, correct? Yes. That's why in the presence of your compensatory mechanism, they have one goal. That's to increase cardiac output. How do they do that? The very first compensatory mechanism is when your kidneys receive poor perfusion, poor blood supply from the heart. And since si kidneys naman ang pinakamatakaw na vital organ when it comes to blood supply, siya ang unang magre-react kapag hindi siya nakaka-receive ng maayos na circulation. Anong gagawin ng kidneys mo? Try and trigger your RAAS. And that's your renin, angiotensin, aldosterone system. Isa lang ang goal ng RAAS, and that's to try and increase the blood pressure in order to increase the cardiac output. Angiotensinogen found in the liver is converted into angiotensin 1 in the presence of the hormone renin released by your kidneys. Ayan. Now, when you have angiotensin 1, that one is not much of a potent vasoconstrictor in order to increase the blood pressure and to increase the cardiac output. So, nung gagawin ni angiotensin 1, it will need to be converted into angiotensin 2, which is the potent and strong vasoconstrictor. And that happens in the presence of your ACE or your angiotensin converting enzyme found in your lungs. Now, in the presence of angiotensin 2, anong mangyayari? There will be vasoconstriction. And guys, please remember, every time may vasoconstriction na nangyayari sa katawan mo, that can increase the blood pressure. So imagine, when the vessels are vasoconstricted, the blood needs higher pressure in order to pass through a very narrow blood vessel as compared to a dilated one, where the blood can just easily flow inside. That's why when there's vasoconstriction, there is increased blood pressure. That's one of the results of your RAAS. The next one, in the presence of angiotensin 2, it will trigger the release of another hormone, your aldosterone. That's why it's called your renin-angiotensin-aldosterone system. Guys, in the presence of the hormone aldosterone, that one will reabsorb sodium. And wherever sodium goes, water follows. Plus, water. And please remember, every time you increase the blood volume in the presence of sodium and water, increasing the blood volume, you now have more blood in the systemic circulation that goes against a vasoconstricted blood vessel tulad ng nangyari dito. So in turn, that will really bump up the blood pressure. The blood pressure will really increase in the presence of this mechanism, vasoconstriction, and increase in the blood volume. So ngayon, in the presence of RAAS, ang gusto niya lang gawin is to try and increase the blood pressure and the blood volume. Kasi ang iniisip ng RAAS mo, that one can compensate with the low cardiac output that happens in heart failure. But sad news, in heart failure, guys, ang puso mo puno na ng scar tissues. Halos wala nang maayos na contractility kasi puro na lang siya peklat. So when you give the heart elevated blood pressure, and when you give the heart more blood volume to pump to the rest of the body, what happens is that these two, they will just increase the cardiac workload. And this is what I want you to know. Every time the cardiac workload increases in the presence of heart failure, that one will damage the heart even more. And guys, once it damages the heart even more, will that in turn decrease the cardiac output even more? Yes, and in RAAS, the vicious cycle continues. When there is decreased cardiac output, will the kidneys try and compensate and activate RAAS? Yes. In the presence of RAAS, will there be vasoconstriction and increase in blood pressure? Yes. Will there be reabsorption of sodium and water in order to increase the blood volume and increase the blood pressure? Yes. But in an already weak and damaged and failed heart, kaya niya ba yon? No longer. The harder the heart works, the worse the heart failure. The vicious cycle continues. Kasi every time may compensatory mechanism, that compensatory mechanism just becomes additional cardiac workload to an already failing heart. Ano pa? RAAS is the first mechanism activated by the body in order to compensate. There's the second one, and what's that? That's your sympathetic nervous system. Your fight or flight response. Anong ginagawa niyan? That will increase the heart rate in order to increase the cardiac output. But then again, when you have increase in heart rate, will that increase the cardiac workload of an already failing heart? Yes. And when you increase the cardiac workload, will that increase the damages in the heart? Yes. And kapag nag-increase ang damages ng heart mo, your heart failure gets worse. And when you have heart failure, will that give you poor cardiac output? Yes. And when your sympathetic nervous system detects that you have poor cardiac output, will that try and increase the heart rate even more? Yes. And the vicious cycle continues. The harder the heart works, the worse the heart failure. That's the second one. Ano ang pangatlong mechanism na ina-activate ng katawan mo in order to compensate with the low cardiac output of heart failure? That's your ventricular hypertrophy. Saan mo yan nakukuha? You get that because of increase in RAAS. Laging mataas ang blood pressure, laging mataas ang blood volume, and ano pa, yung activation ng sympathetic nervous system mo. Anong result niyan? It will just increase the workload of the heart. And when the heart's workload increases, is your heart a muscle? Yes. When faced with increased cardiac workload, will those muscles increase in size? Yes. Exactly your ventricular hypertrophy. When you have ventricular hypertrophy, you get dysfunctional myocardial cells. And when you get dysfunctional myocardial cells, these are unhealthy cells. They easily die, or in medical term, apoptosis. And when these myocardial cells die, do they become scar tissues? Yes. And these scar tissues, they cannot function like a healthy myocardium. So, anong nangyayari? Bababa lang ang contractility ng heart. Kapag bumaba ang contractility ng heart, will that decrease the already problematic cardiac output of the heart, which is really the problem of heart failure? Yes, and the vicious cycle will continue over and over and over again until such time the heart will eventually collapse and can no longer do any of the function. What do you call that? Your cardiogenic shock. The harder the heart works, the worse the heart failure. Yun yung motto natin dito. Eventually, when those compensatory mechanisms I have just discussed has already failed, what you are left with is heart failure na merong mababang cardiac output, na merong increased in blood volume, na merong increased in blood pressure. This right here is what contributes to the signs and symptoms of your heart failure, which is the next part of the discussion. So, anong makikita mo sa signs and symptoms ng heart failure, guys? You will see poor cardiac output signs and symptoms on the vital organs. Magre-react sila, syempre. And then you will see congestion of fluid because of increase in blood volume from the RAAS, the presence of aldosterone, the reabsorption of sodium and water. And then meron ka ding mataas na blood pressure. Kaya isa sa mga management ng heart failure mo, mga antihypertensive meds. So when the compensation fails in heart failure, you get the signs and symptoms of your heart failure. Question, among the left versus the right ventricle, who among these ventricles will fail first? You are correct when you answer your left ventricle. That's why the first sign that will manifest is a left-sided heart failure. Kasi is it the left ventricle responsible to pump the blood to the rest of the body when you look at your circulation in the heart? Yes. Remember the contributors of your heart failure. Pwede bang MI? So may scar tissue ka na lang dyan sa myocardium mo. Hindi na siya maayos nagko-contract. You have problems in terms of contractility. That's why the result is decrease in cardiac output. Diba? Now, in the presence of decreased cardiac output, RAAS gets activated. You get increase in blood pressure and increase in the blood volume. Now, this becomes a problem even more so in heart failure. May blood ka dito sa left ventricle. Imbes na pumunta siya sa aorta para mag-deliver ng blood sa vital organs and the rest of the systemic circulation. You have poor cardiac output because of these fibrotic tissues here. What happens is that konti lang ang nalalabas niya na blood papunta sa systemic circulation. Naiiwan ng ibang blood dito sa left ventricle. Since you have excess blood volume from the excess reabsorption of sodium and water, mas maraming blood papasok sa heart mo, mas mabilis mapuno yung heart mo. In here, it's all about the backflow of blood that produces the signs and symptoms of your heart failure, especially starting with the left-sided heart failure. Pag napuno na ang left ventricle mo, saan na ang next na punta ng blood? Aatras siya saan? Sa left atrium. Pag wala nang mapaglagyan ng blood sa left atrium, saan na siya pupunta? Babalik ba siya sa pulmonary circulation? Yes. So ano ang pinaka-manifestation ng left-sided heart failure mo, guys? Pulmonary signs and symptoms. L for lungs. Like your dyspnea or your difficulty of breathing, orthopnea, or DOB when lying flat. That's why it's important to ask your patient, how many pillows do you need in order to sleep properly at night without difficulty breathing. Isa yan sa assessment na tinitignan natin as nurses kapag meron ng presentation of left-sided heart failure ang patient mo. Ano pa? Will you get your paroxysmal, nocturnal dyspnea? That's your sudden DOB attacks at night. Himbing ang tulog mo sa gabi, bigla-bigla ka na lang magigising nang walang dahilan kasi feeling mo nalulunod ka. Yung baga mo kasi napupuno na ng tubig from the backflow of blood from your heart failure. Ano pa, guys, importante, pink, frothy, sputum. Pink frothy sputum, you get that because of the mixture of gas in the lungs and the excess fluid that is not supposed to be in the lungs you get from the backflow of your heart failure. Ayan. So when you mix gas and water, do you get bubbles? Yes. Kaya ang appearance niya, frothy. And bakit pink? Kasi in the presence of these extra fluids in the lungs, will that injure and cause microbleedings? Yes. Kaya pink tinge. That's why you end up with pink frothy sputum. Ano pa? When you auscultate the lungs, what do you hear? Crackles. The adventitious lung sound heard every time there's additional fluid in the lungs. Pwede bang pulmonary edema? Edema sa lungs na mismo kasi doon nga papunta ang backflow ng blood. Yes. And this is very dangerous. Kasi pag napuno na ng fluid ang lungs mo, there's no more space for gas exchange. That's why it's very fatal. Kasi meron ka na ngang poor perfusion ng blood, ngayon magkakaproblema ka pa sa oxygenation mo kasi puno na ng tubig yung baga mo, no? And kapag hindi na maayos ang gas exchange, kasi napuno na ng tubig ang baga mo, meron ka ng severe pulmonary edema, the patient will become cyanotic. The patient becomes easily fatigued. Every time gagawa ng activity, hihingalin na kaagad kasi wala nang maayos na blood supply from poor cardiac output ng heart failure, wala pang maayos na gas exchange gawa ng iyong pulmonary edema. And then, eventually, the patient will experience restlessness, disorientation as a result of poor oxygenation saan? Sa brain. You get poor brain perfusion because of pulmonary congestion, you get in left-sided heart failure. Ngayon, kapag napuno na ang lungs mo, guys, ng pulmonary edema from the backflow of blood from left-sided heart failure, saan ang punta niya? Backflow na siya ngayon sa pulmonary arteries. Pag pumasok yan sa pulmonary arteries, papunta na yan sa right side ng heart. Yun naman ang next niyang pupunuin, ang right side ng heart, which is the right ventricle. And then, pag napuno na ang right ventricle, saan na next? Sa right atrium. And pag napuno na ang right atrium, saan nang punta niya? Sa vena cava. Superior and inferior vena cava, dun na ang backflow ng blood. That's why the second part of the signs and symptoms is your right-sided heart failure. In right-sided heart failure, R stands for the rest of the body. Doon mo makikita ang fluid congestion. If L in the left-sided heart failure is for lungs, the R in right-sided heart failure is for the rest of the body. So guys, saan siya pupunta? Sa superior and inferior vena cava. Sa veins na siya magba-backflow ngayon. The one that is supposed to carry blood back to the heart para ma-oxygenate. Tama? Yes. Pero ngayon, ano nangyayari sa kanya? Nagba-backflow na doon yung blood kasi wala nang mapaglagyan sa lungs, wala nang mapaglagyan sa heart chambers. That's why you develop your right-sided heart failure. The first one, you get your jugular vein distension. Since the blood is backing up to the veins, you will see the jugular vein of the patient distended. Puno ng excess blood from a failed heart. And then eventually, the blood, pag puno na ang jugular vein, will backflow to the rest of the organs of the body. You get hepatomegaly. Ang paglaki ng liver because doon na nagba-backflow yung blood sa kanya. Ano pa? You get your splenomegaly. Ang paglaki ng spleen dahil doon na nagba-backflow ang blood sa kanya dahil wala nang mapaglagyan. And then the next one, you get ascites. What's that? Edema in the peritoneal cavity. So imagine, umabot na ang backflow ng blood sa peritoneal cavity, causing your peritoneal cavity edema, also known as your ascites. And then eventually, magba-backflow na din sa veins ng legs mo. That's why you get bipedal edema. When you say bipedal edema, both of your lower limbs, your legs, they become edematous. And then, pag wala nang mapaglagyan sa legs mo, yung ibang parte na ng katawan mo hanggang sa ikaw ay lumobo na. You call that your anasarca or your generalized edema. And syempre, pag meron ka na niyan lahat, meron ka ng extra fluid sa kahit saang parte ng katawan mo because of the backflow of blood from an incompetent heart. Because your heart has already failed to become the pump it's supposed to be, you get an extra weight gain from all those fluid accumulations on the interstitial spaces of those tissues concerned. So those are the signs and symptoms of left heart failure and right-sided heart failure. Now guys, syempre meron pang others na signs and symptoms dito na hindi naman affiliated sa left or sa right side ng heart. Ano yun? Pwede bang maging oliguric ang patient mo, meaning less than 400 ml of urine output every 24 hours or every day. Ano pa? Syempre, ang pinaka-characteristic na makikita mo rin dito maliban sa pagiging edematous ng pasyente mo, guys, is ang kanyang hypertension. And ito ang isa sa pinaka-favorite na tanungin ng board exam. You have to check the patient's blood pressure when they are known to have heart failure because of the activation of RAAS and your SNS. You get a resultant increase in the blood pressure. Hypertensive ang pasyente mong may heart failure. And syempre, siya din ay tachycardic. Gawa nga ang activation ng SNS mo. And siya din ay magiging tachypneic. Bukod sa attempt ng katawan mo to increase the oxygen concentration in the blood kasi may poor cardiac output ka, meron ka na ding fluid congestion sa lungs. So that will really cause tachypnea in the patient. Those are the signs and symptoms of heart failure. Now, tingnan naman natin kung ano ang mga diagnostic tests. The volumes that the heart is capable to release, like yung cardiac output, ejection fraction, stroke volume, saan mo sila makikita? You will see that in your echocardiogram. Yan. Yan yung tinatawag nila na 2D echo. Ano to guys? This is basically a heart ultrasound, non-invasive na heart ultrasound. Titingnan mo yung heart volume and anatomy using an ultrasound machine. Sa 2D echo, you are able to measure the patient's ejection fraction. And itong ejection fraction, guys, basically that's the percentage of blood ejected by the ventricle. And the normal ejection fraction should be between 50 to 70%. So if it's less than 50%, you get poor perfusion of the vital organs. And remember, anong nangyayari pag may poor perfusion ng vital organs, guys? Diba? You have your compensatory mechanism. Nandyan na naman si RAAS na eventually mas papaguri niya lang ang puso mo. Nandyan na naman ang activation ng sympathetic nervous system na mas nakakapagod para sa puso mo. And then you will in turn get ventricular hypertrophy. na mas nakaka-damage lang ng puso. Okay? Kaya yan, ang vicious cycle ng heart failure mo, because of that cause in and of itself, kumbaga, yung cause ng low cardiac output and ng low ejection fraction that causes low perfusion in the organs is being solved by this compensatory mechanism of the body in ways in which that does not align with the real cause of your heart failure, which is yung pagkamatay ng mga myocardial cells. Since they don't regenerate, what happens is the never-ending vicious cycle of your heart failure. Siyempre, ano pa, pwede mo bang tignan sa chest x-ray ang puso ng taong may heart failure? Yes, you will see enlarged heart. And you conclude that because there is a displaced apex or yung tip ng heart from the left ventricle, displaced na siya. Supposed to be the apex is normally found in the fifth intercostal space left midclavicular. But if it's displaced, wala na siya sa fifth intercostal space left midclavicular. Nasa na siya? Pag mag-enlarge ang heart, ang apex mo gets displaced. Where? It gets displaced to the left or further downwards, the intercostal spaces. And then sa chest x-ray, pwede mo rin ma-visualize ang fluid that accumulates in the lungs. Now let's look at the treatment in your heart failure. Guys, in the treatment, meron tayong goal. Ayan na naman. And that's the top the board exam. Okay. The goal of the treatment is to try and improve the cardiac output of the patient without triggering your RAAS, your SNS, and your ventricular hypertrophy. So, anong gagawin mo sa treatment, guys? Number 1, you want to improve perfusion to the vital organs, you will give the patient supplemental oxygenation. Kahit hindi siya nag-desaturate, bigyan mo siya ng supplemental oxygenation. 1 to 2 liters per minute via nasal cannula. And then number 2, dapat you weigh the patient daily. Guys, yung concept dito, when you weigh the patient daily, dapat same ang time kung kailan mo siya ni-weigh. If you weigh the patient 9 a.m., 9 a.m. If you weigh the patient before meal times, before meal times. And then, same ang scale na gagamitin mo para same ang calibration, para lesser ang margin of error na makukuha mo. Dapat same din ang clothes na suot niya. So, for example, if na-weigh mo ang patient na naka-patient gown, dapat every time you weigh the patient, every day, dapat naka-patient gown siya. Okay? Siyempre, dapat laban mo yung patient gown na yon for better hygiene purposes. And this is one of the favorite questions in the boards. Guys, it's your weight that is the best indicator of fluid retention or excretion ng katawan. Ayan. Ano yung ratio natin, guys? 1:1. Ibig sabihin, 1 liter na na-accumulate or na-retain ng patient mo will be equivalent to 1 kilogram of additional body weight. So, pag na-weigh mo ang patient mo for baseline, and that weight all throughout the admission is increasing, ibig sabihin, nagre-retain siya ng fluids kasi nag-i-increase ang weight niya. Ang ratio natin, 1 liter of fluid accumulated or retained in the body per 1 kilogram of additional body weight. O, in turn, pag naman, nagre-reduce ang body weight ng patient mo every time you weigh the patient all throughout admission. Ibig sabihin, mas na-excrete niya ang fluids ngayon, which is a good indicator, no? Kasi we want the patient na hindi na mag-congest ng fluid. So remember, what's the best indicator? If the patient is retaining more fluid, wait. If the patient is excreting more fluid, wait. Timbangin mo yan. Yan ang best indicator ng fluid balance sa katawan ng pasyenteng admitted sa hospital. And syempre guys, number 2, can you limit the oral fluid intake? Yes, as ordered by the physician. So madalas, ang limitations natin, 1 to 1.5 liters per day. As a nurse, you have to serve that in a picture para malimit mo talaga ang oral fluid intake and proper health teaching kung para saan ang limitation ng oral fluid intake para mas hindi siya mag-congest at hindi siya maging edematous. Number 4, low salt and low fat diet. Gusto mo ng low salt diet to reduce the retention of fluid in the body para mas hindi siya mag-congest. And you want a low-fat diet for better nutrition. And number 5, kailangan natin ngayon mag-pace ng activities with rest periods. Dahil mabilis mapagod ang patient mo, easily fatigue siya kasi nga may congestion na ng fluid sa airway niya na supposed to be for gas exchange, o dapat pace activities with rest periods. And number 6, can we promote semi to high Fowler's positioning? Yes, for better lung expansion and to prevent instances of orthopnea or yung difficulty lying flat, di ba? And your paroxysmal nocturnal dyspnea or yung sudden awakening at night because of difficulty breathing, na feeling niya para siyang nalulunod. And then number 7, let's deal with the pharma of your heart failure. So, ang first medication na i-discuss ko dito, guys, A, will be your Digitalis. Since siya ang favorite ng board exam mo, so discuss natin siya. Digitalis mas kilala sa digoxin na brand name. Pwede din Lanoxin. Same lang yan sila. They are both Digitalis. What's the function of your Digitalis? This one will increase the contractility in order to increase cardiac output. What do you call that effect of Digitalis? You call that your positive inotropic effect. Yan, that will increase contractility. At the same time, Digitalis will also decrease the patient's heart rate to decrease cardiac workload. And what do you call that effect? You call that your negative chronotropic. So, ano yung effect ng Digitalis mo sa patient mo? May positive inotropic effect in order to increase the contractility of the heart, to increase the cardiac output, but it will decrease the workload of the heart by decreasing the heart rate. That's negative chronotropic effect of your Digitalis. Kaya isa siya sa preferred drugs for heart failure management. And when you're giving the patient Digitalis, you have to note the normal serum level. It should just be between 0.5 to 2 in the serum. So, ano mga considerations mo when you're giving the patient your Digitalis? You have to remember, you have to check apical pulse for 1 whole minute. Bilangin mo ang pulse rate niya saan? Sa apical pulse, sa apex mismo ng pasyente. Doon mo bilangin ang pulse niya. And then, you have to withhold the medication if the patient has less than 60 beats per minute na pulse. Pag lower than that, pag 60 exactly, withhold the drug. Or else, mas bababa pa ba yan? Yes. Pag mas bumaba yan, dangerous din ba sa patient mo yun? Yes. That's why you have to maintain normal pulse lang dito. Normal pulse rate. If it's lower, in Digitalis, you have to withhold. And then you always have to check an electrolyte. What's that? Your potassium. And why is that? It's because potassium competes on the same receptor site as your Digitalis. Kailangan, pag naka-Digitalis ang pasyente mo, ang potassium level niya should be normal. Dapat hindi bumaba ang potassium ng pasyenteng nagdi-Digitalis. Kasi pag bumaba ang potassium, bababa ang competition ni Digitalis sa receptor sites. If it goes down, it will promote digoxin toxicity. And what's that? Guys, that's your give. Ito yung shortcut ko. Kasi medyo tamad ako gumawa ng mga mnemonics. Give is for GI manifestations. Ano yan? Pwede bang nausea and vomiting? Yes. Pwede bang abdominal pain? Anything related to the GI? Yes. Pwede bang anorexia? Yes. And then, you have your V. Pwede bang visual changes? Yes. Pwede bang halos around light? Yes. Pwede bang blurred vision? Yes. Basta visual changes. Pwedeng digoxin toxicity yan for letter V. Ano naman ang E? Di electrolyte imbalance. Electrolyte imbalance. Ano yan? Kapag ang patient mo nagkaroon ng mababang potassium, hypokalemia. So, pag nagkaroon ng give ang pasyente mo, which is your digoxin toxicity, signs and symptoms, ano ang gagawin mo? Syempre, you have to give the antidote. And the antidote for digoxin toxicity is no other than your DigiBind, digoxin immune fab. The next drug, number 2, pwede ba tayong magbigay ng angiotensin converting enzyme inhibitor, a class of your antihypertensive meds. Binibigay natin sa mga matataas ang blood pressure. And also, circling back to the discussion kanina, doon sa RAAS activation, sa compensatory mechanism mo, remember, you have an angiotensin converting enzyme from the lungs responsible to convert angiotensin 1 into angiotensin 2, which is a strong vasoconstrictor. The one that will increase the blood pressure, the one that will trigger the release of aldosterone to reabsorb more sodium and water. Yes, so gusto mo siyang i-block, ayaw mong magkaroon ng angiotensin 2, anong gagawin mo? Give your angiotensin converting enzyme inhibitor. Responsible to block the effect of your angiotensin converting enzyme. So anong gusto niyang gawin, guys? Blocks your ACE from the lungs from converting your angiotensin 1 into angiotensin 2. Yan ang gagawin ng ACE inhibitor mo. So yan, those are the drugs that ends in your prils, like your captopril, enalapril, lisinopril. Yan sila, mga prils. They are your ACE inhibitors. They work to stop the conversion of angiotensin 1 into angiotensin 2 para hindi ka mag-vasoconstrict, hindi tataas ang BP mo, hindi tataas ang blood volume mo kasi walang aldosterone, kasi walang angiotensin 2. Tama? Yes. But remember, nurses, this one causes a side effect na hindi maiiwasan at magbabother sa patient mo. Ano yon? Guys, dry cough. Patient will complain most of the time, dry cough because of your ACE inhibitor. And this is the reason why, pag ang patient mong naka-ACE inhibitor, nagko-complain ng persistent dry cough, pupunta sa hospital. Dok, pwede ka bang baguhin ang maintenance ko, Dok? Parang yung ubo ko, 1 buwan na. Dry cough, hindi mawawala, nahihirapan akong matulog. Okay? So, ano sasabihin ng doktor? Pag may dry cough complaint, the management is to shift the drug, your angiotensin 2 receptor blocker, your ARBs, which is another drug that you can use in heart failure. And guys, ilalagay ko in red, put a star, your angiotensin converting enzyme inhibitor or your ACE inhibitor, there is an adverse effect. And what is that? You have to watch out for this. You have to watch out for hyperkalemia. Kaya, when you have a patient na may maintenance ng ACE inhibitors, do you have to routinely check your potassium levels? Yes, because hyperkalemia is toxic to the cardiac cells. It can induce fatal dysrhythmias. Okay? So, dapat you have to monitor serum potassium when the patient is treated with ACE inhibitors. So, syempre, the third drug is your angiotensin 2 receptor blocker. Ito naman, kahit may angiotensin 2 ka na, ang gagawin ng drug na to, it will block the receptor site from the word itself of your angiotensin 2 to prevent its effect. So, ano ba yung effect ng angiotensin 2 mo? Isn't it? It will promote vasoconstriction to increase the blood pressure, and then it will trigger the release of your aldosterone to reabsorb water and sodium. So, anong mangyayari pag nag-angiotensin 2 receptor blocker ka? It will decrease your blood pressure. It will decrease your blood volume. Kasi hindi ka na magre-reabsorb ng sodium and water. Ano examples ng mga ARBs mo, guys? These are your sartans. Drugs that ends in the suffix sartan, like your telmisartan, like your losartan, like your valsartan. Those drugs, they are your ARBs, angiotensin 2 receptor blocker. Next, what's the fourth drug that you can give your patient? Can you give your beta blockers? Yes, Guys, beta blockers, anong gusto niyang gawin? It will block your sympathetic nervous stimulation. yun yung gagawin niya. Kasi isn't it, your activation of the sympathetic nervous system will cause the increase in heart rate, di ba? Yes. Will in turn cause increased cardiac workload. Yes. So when you block that, you will decrease the cardiac workload of the heart. Okay? Kaya pwede magbigay ng beta blocker sa pasyenteng may heart failure to block the SNS to decrease the heart rate of the patient, to decrease cardiac workload. And these are your drugs that ends in olol. Okay? Ano yan? Is that your metoprolol? Yes. Is that your carvedilol? Yes. Ma'am, si carvedilol hindi siya olol. Okay? Ilol siya. But lol pa rin. Same lang yan. Metoprolol, carvedilol, pwede din. Bisoprolol. Ayan. Yan sila. Those are your beta blockers. And guys, kapag nagbibigay ka ng beta blocker, meron kang consideration dito. As a nurse, you also have to check the patient's heart rate. It should be within normal, 60 to 100 beats per minute. If the heart rate is less than 60 beats per minute or exactly at 60, dapat mo siya i-withhold. Ayan ha, so consideration yan in your beta blocker. Sino pa yung kailangan natin i-withhold? Ang drug kapag less than 60 beats per minute? Yes, your digoxin, your digitalis pag less than 60. So remember yung those drugs, beta blockers, digitalis, withhold if the heart rate is lower than 60 beats per minute. And then, syempre, number 5, di ba? Parang nag-discuss lang tayo ng mga antihypertensive meds dito. Ano pa? Can you give your diuretics because the patient is very manas, very congested with fluid because of the backflow of blood? Yes. So, anong gusto mong ibigay dito? Syempre, the first one, letter A, is your loop diuretics. So, ito guys, makinig ng maayos. Ang alam natin sa NLE, furosemide. Pag may NCLEX naman, pwede mong idagdag torsemide. Ayan. Para mas marami kang drugs na alam. And then, dagdag mo na din dyan si bumetanide. All of them, they are an example of a loop diuretic. So, this is a diuretic that acts on the loop of Henle from the word itself. It has faster effect as compared to others. And mas mabilis siya mag-diurese or magpaihi ng excess fluid ng pasyente mo. So, itong furosemide, the most famous one known as your Lasix. Syempre, pag nagbibigay ka ng loop diuretic, since one of the fastest yan, you have to monitor the patient's blood pressure kasi it can cause a decrease in the blood pressure. Di ba? Remember, when you increase the blood volume, you increase the blood pressure. Pag pinaihi mo naman siya ng sobrang dami kasi nagbigay ka ng diuretics, will that decrease the blood volume? Yes. Can that decrease the blood pressure? Exactly like so. Kaya i-monitor mo ang BP ng pasyente. Ano pa? Can it cause a decrease in your potassium? Yes, kasi this one is a potassium wasting diuretic. So, pag sinabi mong potassium wasting diuretic, ang ginagawa niya is, wini-waste niya ang potassium sa katawan. Okay? Kaya meron siyang higher propensity to cause your hypokalemia. So, do you have to monitor serum potassium when you're giving your loop diuretics? Yes. And then, you have to monitor for the adverse effect. Guys, adverse effect. Anong reklamo ng pasyente mo? Favorite in the board exam. That's your tinnitus. Kasi it is ototoxic. It can damage the 8th cranial nerve, your acoustic nerve, also known as your vestibulocochlear nerve. Tama? Yes, that's why monitor for tinnitus or ringing in the ears in furosemide, torsemide, bumetanide medication or your loop diuretics in all. Anong next diuretics, guys? Ano ba to? Letter B, the next diuretic na pwede mong ibigay. You have your thiazide diuretics. So, ito naman si thiazide diuretic, guys. Know that it's a calcium sparing diuretic. Aside sa it can release a lot of extra fluid in the body, it also will spare a lot of calcium. Kaya isa sa monitoring mo dito, monitor for calcium levels of the blood kasi pwedeng mag-cause ng hypercalcemia. Okay? So ano yan? Example of your thiazide, guys. You have your hydrochlorothiazide. Ayan. In NCLEX, may additional tayo metolazone. And then, meron pang indapamide. Ayun. So, these are examples of your thiazide diuretics. The one that will spare calcium and release excess fluid in the body. So, guys, please note that if you are giving the patient thiazide, you have to monitor the following. You have to monitor for calcemia because it's calcium sparing. Ano pa? Hyperuricemia, increase in the uric acid. And what else? You also have to monitor hyperglycemia. Ayan, kasi it can also in turn increase the sugar. Those are the important monitorings in your thiazide diuretics. And then lastly, letter C, you have your potassium sparing diuretics. So, syempre, from the word itself, it will spare potassium. Okay? So, pag it spares potassium, can it cause hyperkalemia? Yes. So, isa sa monitoring mo dito, pag giving ka ng potassium-sparing diuretics, your hyperkalemia, your potassium levels, no? Examples of this, guys, you have your spironolactone, also known as your aldactone. Ano pa? For NCLEX, pwede din triamterene. O, i-memorize mo na yan. And your eplerenone. Ayan, eplerenone. So, these are examples of your potassium-sparing diuretics. And syempre, guys, monitor the patient's potassium levels kasi it can cause hyperkalemia. So, can you also attach the patient to cardiac monitor? Yes. Kasi you want to make sure it doesn't cause any cardiac problems. Kasi nga, it can cause increase in the potassium. Tama? Yes. So, attach the patient to a cardiac monitor. And ano pa, if it can increase the potassium, ano yung opposite effect niya to another electrolyte? The one with inverse relationship with potassium. You also monitor for decrease in sodium or your hyponatremia, which can be dangerous for your brain. Correct? Yes. That's all. Hope you learned about heart failure. Bye.